Hello. I'm here with Carolena Nericcio, director from FatChanceBellyDance in San Francisco.
Hello.
Devotion show is coming up. Do you want to tell us a bit about Devotion?
Yes, I would love to tell you about Devotion. It started 6 years ago, I think. Right here in this studio, Kalina Shakti was here doing a workshop for ODC, classical Indian dance. And after the workshop, we were sitting and talking, and I told her, I said, I'm jealous of the fact that you have a lineage for your dance, because she really, and she does fabulous research, and she presents a lot of information in her classes, which I really appreciate. And she can tie what she's doing all the way back to the beginning. And I said, I wish that my dance form had a lineage like that, because I feel like it is an act of devotion for me. When I first started dancing, I was just dancing because I wanted to move. And as I started the business, I just thought it would be interesting. But the more people got involved and the more I saw the effect that the dance was having on people, I felt like the dance really became like my mentor. And I feel like it's like I get up every morning and I check in with the dance and find out how things are going, and at the end of the day I check in with the dance and see how I did and get some advice on what I could do better. And I feel like it's this companion that I'm responsible to. And I wish that there was that sense of lineage and devotion that Indian classical dance has. And we just started talking about all dance is devotion, and we just came up with the idea for the show. And the first show, the idea of the show was going to be to offer it over several weekends at very small theater in San Francisco, so that it was like an underground event that only had 50 seats and you had to get in quick. Because in San Francisco, if you advertise your event, nobody will come. It has to be underground. Right? Okay. And so we did that, and it worked. But the theater that we found was really not, it wasn't equipped for the kind of show that we ended up producing. We had a lot of people in the cast, and there wasn't enough room, and it was hot, there was no air conditioning, and so we stayed at that place for a couple of years. Well, we did the first one, and it was wonderful, and it was a success, and so everybody wanted to do the second one, and I thought, oh, another one? Oh my God. So we did another one the next year with some guest artists, but we really completely outgrew the studio, or the theater, and we found yet another place that was very convenient right down the street. But unfortunately, the manager of the studio was completely insane and almost ruined the opening night of the show. I can't even begin to describe. And I'm a very tolerant, patient, generous person, and it was like all that we could do. I was so impressed with the cast, because she went around to each person in the cast and personally offended everybody. Like, she had a plan. And like everybody, like I saw each cast member become shocked and unnerved, and then pull their professional glass over them and just block her out and get on stage and do their thing without any interference. And I was really impressed by absolutely everybody in the cast, and we left walking away like, don't look back, don't look back. And so we couldn't go back there because it was impossible. So then we found other mishaps happened, of course, and we eventually found the Julie Morgan Theater over in Berkeley, which is a real theater. It's got 350 seats. It's got cast, technical people. It's beautiful. It's accessible. It looks like somewhere you would want to go to see a show versus some of the places in the Mission. You're not going to. People from out of town don't want to come and look for parking in the Mission to go into a hole-in-the-wall theater, So it's not underground anymore. It's a big show. It's in a theater. It's lovely. It's expensive, but it's worth it. And it's really bloomed into lots of guest artists. And every year we have a theme. The first show was just devotion, not knowing that we were going to carry on. The next show we called Weaving the Fabric. It was all about, I love textiles, so it was all about spinning cotton and weaving cotton and what you could do with fabric and that kind of thing. Yeah, it was beautiful. And the next show was The Harvest. It was about the bounty of sustenance. And after that was The Home,
Mm-hmm.
That's what we did in Julia Morgan, and that was really fun because we sort of built a little room on the stage where everybody interacted. So the cast kept coming and going from the room as they were performing, and the audience really liked it. They really liked the engagement of, there was like a little vignette on the side of people interacting while the main performer was performing, and then that performer, when they were done, would walk into the home and be greeted, and the next performer would come out, and everybody was constantly interacting with each other. And as I said, the audience found that really engaging. So this year, the theme is the family tree. So a little bit old school. We've kind of gone back to wearing our head wraps, thank goodness. And it's feeling like looking back at the family tree. So we're going to use that theme. And wearing a little prototype of the
beautiful.
The little medallion that we have produced for the Kickstarter campaign.
Exactly, the Kickstarter campaign.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is rolling. It's started.
It's rolling. It's started. It's live.
Yes. Yes.
Started. It's
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
Live. Yes, it's an amazing platform of crowdfunding. So when Jennifer Nolan, who is helping me, Jennifer Nolan is a sister studio in Milwaukee, and she has a group called Tamarind Tribal, and she's just full of enthusiasm and ideas, and she said, you need to do a Kickstarter. And I thought, what is that? And she said, it's crowdfunding. You get people to contribute instead of looking for government funding. And I thought, that just sounds silly. But I thought email and the internet were silly when they first came out as well. And she said, no, I think you're going to like it. So she put together the whole campaign. I just contributed to say yes or no to things, but she really put the whole thing together, and it's really beautiful. And it's literally a company, a website run by a group of people. It's crowdfunding. So right now, if you go to our Kickstarter campaign, you'll see that you can pledge from $10 to $5,000, depending on how involved you want to get. And for each pledge, you get a reward. So it's just like public television, really.
Yes.
And it's been very successful so far. We're only 3 days into it, and we already have half of the funding. The catch is that you don't get the funding unless you get all of the funding. So we have a $20,000 pledge, and a $20,000 end goal. And if we don't get that, then everything that everybody's pledged just goes back into their bank accounts, and we don't get to keep it. So it's a bit of a... but the thing is, the reason that we ultimately had to do it is because we don't qualify for grants because we're too modern to be considered ethnic and too ethnic to be considered modern. So every time we submit an application, it just goes to the wayside because they don't know what to do with us.
But would you rather have the ATS being a mainstream thing than what it is right now, or do you think it's mainstream?
That's a really good question. It is mainstream in the world of belly dance.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody knows what ATS is. Everybody knows the word tribal, and they've heard ATS. They may not know what ATS means, American Tribal Style Belly Dance, but I don't think there's any belly dancer on the planet that hasn't heard about it. So that's really amazing.
That's true.
But in terms of the general public, all belly dance is still just a mystery. It's like it doesn't exist. One of the main reasons that I wanted to rent this space for the studio was that I had all of this collection of jewelry and textiles in boxes because I just rented an office space and then rented studio spaces around the city. And I thought, this is a waste. All this beautiful stuff that visually can tell you in a moment what I'm trying to say is stuffed in a box, and no one ever gets to see it.
Yeah.
And I thought I really need a gallery to show it all off in the context of the dance, so that when you walk in, you go, as you're walking up the stairs, you start to understand, and as soon as you walk in the door, you think, oh, I get it.
That's right. That's
so
right.
It's the gallery on the walls is as much of the experience as going into the studio and learning to dance. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in this studio then?
We have been in this studio for 13 years. I just felt like I have to have that space. I had been in this space when it used to be an Aikido studio, and I had come with a friend to pick up her daughter, and I saw the space, and I was like, this is the most beautiful space. Like, I just loved it. And years went by, and didn't think about it. And then when we were looking for real estate, this came up on the market, and we came to look at it, and I was like, oh my God, that's that space. And I thought, no.
Wow.
Don't tell me. How much is it? Oh my God, it's that much. Oh. And I just thought, it's at that, 13 years ago, it was completely prohibitive. But there's this challenge part that lives inside of me that, one part of me is a total introvert that would rather just stay in bed and read a book. And that's it. That's really all I want to knit, read a book, go for a walk. I'm done. I'm happy, I'm satisfied. But there's this other part of me that absolutely has to roll the dice to see what will happen. I can't take no. I just can't say no. So I thought, I'm going to go for it.
Things have been changed a lot. Your teachers are traveling the world.
Yes.
So actually they are getting on the big stage.
Yes.
So any feedback, effects from that? So for you here?
For me, it means I get to stay home.
Yeah, that was the other question. Yes, so this is... So is this the plan?
That is the plan. When I first started my traveling tour about 6 or 7 years ago, I guess you could say it's the personality of rolling the dice. After I got the studio and I got the studio set up, I realized that I was bored. And which doesn't make any sense because I love coming here and I love people coming here. But there was something that was missing. There was another challenge that was missing. And I said to my teachers, I said, I'm going to travel. Will you take over teaching classes? And they said, yes, we would love to. So they took over teaching all the classes, and I just traveled and traveled and traveled and traveled. And at the end of at the end of 2011, I was really exhausted. And I already had 2012 already set up. So I just made it really clear to everybody, this is the last year that I'm going to be available so much. And told the teachers that I'll be coming home, so just hang in there. And I came home and I said to them, now, I want to stay here. Will you go out and travel? And they said, yes, we will. I thought, this is perfect because they're ready to get out and do something. So I'm really happy to be home at the studio, at my house, and not packing a bag every couple of days to go somewhere. It's been great. Traveling has been wonderful. I met you. I met lots of really amazing people.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Marsha's here to teach class. And I'm glad that I did it. It was an incredible experience, and I'm glad to be home. And now I feel satisfied, and I don't feel bored. I'm delighted to be here.
So my next question would be volume 9 was such a so different from the concept from the DVDs that you did before, instructional DVDs, working with free sister studios corporation. And the reactions, what is the feedback to this sort of concept, and also opening up to creating new variations of the step and encouraging people to find their own language in between ATS, as far as I understood it.
Well, that's that is a really good question. And
shall I go and open the door?
Somebody go and open the door. Me personally, completely satisfied with the steps on volume 1 and the steps on volume 4. And when Mega joined up with us and we put together volume 7, we realized that we had a lot of variations, and it would be fun to share those because she had 4 steps that she wanted to bring in. So we thought, okay. And then for some reason, I thought that was the only time that was going to happen. We had created some things, she had created some things, and everybody would be satisfied with that. It never occurred to me that it would go further. And then, really, all at the same time, Mega had more steps. Devyani had more steps than Mega. Devi Mamak in Australia had more steps, and Jennifer Nolan and Tamarind had more steps. And I looked at them and I thought, yeah, this makes sense. The evolution of how they made the variations and created their steps would be what I would do when I did do variations. I don't know if I'm just explaining that clearly enough, but I thought, you know, I'm not going to stop people from being creative, but I just want you to understand what the roots of ATS are. And really, the more steps that are created, the more I like the roots. But so we decided to put together on a 2-disc set, all 4 of us, 4 troops working together, and it was a lot of fun. And interestingly, I think you'll be able to tell when you look at the DVD. Some of us came up with the same variation.
Wow!
You know, because you're just taking the root and drawing something beautiful out of it, and sometimes we ended up doing the same thing.
Wow!
You know, and that was interesting. But of course now more sister studios are saying, well, I put something new together, can I use it? And I thought, oh boy, here we go again. And you know, of course you can. Of course, if you're inspired and as long as you're following the format of ATS and you're inspired to do something else, I don't see any reason why you can't do that. The only problem with that is that if you know, I can't put everybody's new steps on DVDs. So that means that there's a lot of people out there creating their own thing, which is fine, but it really means that you can only then dance spontaneously with the people that know your vocabulary, which was not the original intent of ATS. So it's a bit of a crossroads there. So, you know, we named the core steps classic, right? What's on volume 1 and what's on volume 4 is considered classic ATS, and everything, including what we created after that, we're calling modern ATS. So, and, you know, just to let everyone out there know who has ideas and want to create things, go right ahead, but you're going to have to communicate very thoroughly with anybody new that you dance with. You have to all know the core of it and be very clear that you're going to be throwing in a variation. Because even though it should be completely logical, if it's a variation, it could really take somebody by surprise, and that kind of stops the flow. And you want that divine conscious flow or subconscious flow flowing through it. And even, you know, for instance, if I go back to Alabama to perform with Deviani, even though they're doing steps, I know all their steps and they know all my steps, just our bodies not working together all the time can make even the simplest thing a little bit of a question mark, just because you get used to the nuances of your people. So then when you throw new steps in on top of that, you're really pushing the boundaries. But sort of to take it back to what we were talking about, why is belly dance so underground? This is a way for us to make ATS more and more creative and bigger and more to look at, you know, and more to do, more to explore. And instead of keeping it down to just the classic, which is where I would really rather it stays, I need to be open to new ideas because it's what keeps it alive. It keeps it thriving.
Sure.
So it's very exciting. It's very scary. It's very frustrating at times. But it's essential for the growth of the dance. I mean, because, you know, I talked to the dance every day, and I sat down and we had a combo about it, and the dance was like, let's go. And I said, okay.
Okay. Are you sure about it? Is there a volume 10 on the horizon? No. Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But online classes, I heard.
Online classes, yeah.
Exciting.
Well, you know, the disc, amazingly, the disc is going the wayside, you know. Not as many people are interested in buying a static item when you can have Skype lessons or online classes. It's more cost effective for us because we don't have to produce the disc, so we're not manufacturing anything. And it's fresher because we can change it more often. So the online classes will be really fun. There'll definitely be set topics that we'll plan and we'll cover. And then the Skype lessons are just, you know, you and your computer and me and my computer, and we can do private lessons. So I'm home, which is great, but I can still talk to you when you're home in Germany, and we can do lessons that way. So I'm really excited about that because I don't have to give up all the friendships that I've made around the world. I just don't have to go to the airport to get there.
Yeah, you're staying connected.
Yeah, so those are going to be really fun. I'm excited about that.
And so Skype lessons are already running, as I understood, but online classes, like, are you going to stream it, and when is that going?
Well, we just put a ballpark figure on the online classes for August, and we still have to figure out how that's going to work. I'm working. My web designer is trying to pick up all the breadcrumbs that I've been leaving. You know, oh, I want it to be like this, and I want this and this, and she's just like trying to gather it all into a platform that'll be usable. Yeah. And the Skype lessons will start basically right after the Kickstarter. We can start doing that. I pegged them for July, but I don't see any reason why they can't start earlier than that.
Great.
Yeah.
Nice. And also, there has been changes concerning general skills and teacher training. Would you like to tell a bit more about this?
Yes, I would. So originally, general skills was intended for people that were already skilled or experienced in ATS and just wanted to get like a complete immersion in it. But then people started showing up that wanted to learn about ATS. And I've always had the prerequisite that you have to have some belly dance history. You can't be a rank beginner to take general skills. But people from different kinds of belly dance were showing up. And I thought, I didn't even understand why, you know, but they wanted to learn it. So my 20-person minimum, 25-person maximum was bursting at the seams. And it's a very, it's not a difficult course to teach, but it's very exhausting because it's 4 or 5 hour days, and that doesn't take into account traveling back and forth where you're going and, you know, things that taking care of personal time as well. So it's a really exhausting schedule. And then it started out as 3 days, and then it had to go to 4 days. And that doesn't even include the stuff on Volume 9. And then sponsors wanted to add the teacher training along with it, so that made everything into 6 5-hour days, and bursting at the seams. And just a lot of exhaustion, you know, fatigue and exhaustion on my part and Mega's part to really keep up with that. So we decided to change it. We're sort of in the process of working that out, but we want to offer General Skills Classic, which will be 2 5-hour days, just a classic, volumes 1 through 4, complete immersion in that. I'm going to take all of the lectures that I do and put them into an online class, so people can do that. They can do their homework before the class starts, so we don't have to take class time to talk time, so that gives us more breathing room. And then we'll also have a modern 2-day course, again with the lectures online, online classes. That still doesn't take into account Volume 9, so I suppose there could be yet another. But what we really want to do is we want to keep our traveling down to just 2 days at a time.
Yes.
Because it just gets too out of control. So we're looking at packages of 2-day classic, a 2-day modern, a 2-day teacher training. We haven't really launched it yet because we're still finding, but what about this and what about that? And then, you know, when a sponsor is going to want all 2 days packages together, you know, the idea was that that you could take either portion independently and not get a certification, or you could take them all in sequence and get a certification. But then that means we have to keep track of who's done what, and that seems a little overwhelming. So we haven't really decided how to manage that. Plus, the teacher training is sort of coming under fire now because it is a thorough course, but almost everyone will graduate that course because same thing with general skills. Everybody will graduate because I'm giving you the certificate for showing up and doing it. I'm not going to say that you're doing it well because there's no way to teach dance to a body in 4 days and teach a teacher to teach perfectly in 2 days. It's not possible because everybody, you know, because this dance form is so new and people have been learning it, you know, via video or via teacher of a teacher of a teacher, their technique might not be that strong. Some people are very strong. Some people are not very strong. But I don't see the dance thriving if somebody pays the money to come to the teacher training course and then I don't graduate. You know, I don't give them the certificate. I know I definitely have gotten a lot of feedback from people who think that that's okay. But I don't think that's okay. So right now, the teacher training is very thorough. If you apply yourself, you will learn a lot from it, but you have to come armed with the perfect knowledge of what it is that you're going to teach. And if you don't have a perfect knowledge of it, you're going to walk away with the information and not really be able to apply it. And that's the decision that you made. not the decision that I'm going to make. There's also been a lot of speculation about, could people, could I screen them ahead of time? Could they send in a video interview or dance interview for me to see if they're actually ready for it? And that requires me to sit and watch that many videos. There's a problem with English as a second language. Not everybody's fluent in English, so they don't look confident when they're teaching, and I can't judge what they. Sometimes I have them teach in their native language just to see what they're really like, and usually everybody's fine. So if people are struggling with my language, they don't look comfortable to me. But am I supposed to mark them down for that because they don't know English? The other thing is it costs a lot of money. So if I made it into you may or may not pass. The people with a lot of money could keep coming back, and the people without a lot of money are out the money that they spent, and that just doesn't seem fair to me. And plus, it's happening in places all over the world. So if you went from Germany to Florida for your training, and you only, you paid for it, and then you wanted follow-up, you'd have to go fly to Russia. You know what I mean? It's not, if it was just a community, I guess I'm making this really complicated, but if it was just a community of people right here in this studio, the way people do, going to school, yes, then everything would be fine. Yes, you could require a pass-fail. Yes, you could look at someone and say, you're ready for this class and not for that class. But I don't see how that can work when there's only me doing those certifications and everybody in the world wanting it. So we just haven't figured that out yet, and we will. But and usually those solutions they come to me when I rest a little bit. So I just need to rest a little bit.
So thank you so much for taking your time and answering my questions.
You're so welcome.
Openly.
I'm happy to.
Yeah.
Thank you.